Welcome back to Tech and Unity. This is the part 2 of our Console Wars series. In this video we are gonna talk about the brand new Xbox Series X console. So let's get started. Xbox Series X is a minimalist block with precisely one curve on the entire thing. And when you turn it on, the dashboard looks almost identical to the one that Xbox One gamers have been using for years. Even the power button makes the same beeps, and the packed-in controller is barely changed. It's not until you fire up a game and are launched into smooth native 4K amazingly quick that the Series X justifies spending $500, that is 36,000 in rupees, to upgrade. From the moment you open the Xbox Series X box, it makes a great first impression with a presentation reminiscent of a rich product. It's clear that every aspect of that process has been carefully considered, including the console's central, isolated placement in the box, making it feel like you're opening a present. It's befitting of a premium $500 device. You can use your smartphone to log into your account and toggle your settings and preferences, while the box itself downloads and installs a firmware update. Once you're up and running, you've got multiple options for bringing your existing library to the Series X, the best of which don't require you to re-download anything. The console design is minimalist, yes, but bold. It's easily the best in Xbox history when it's standing vertically at least. On its side, it looks like a giant misplaced Lego piece, and you can't remove the vertical stand on the left side, which is awkward. But when stood tall, it's big enough to confidently tower in your entertainment center, while compact and subtle enough that it doesn't dominate it. The top of the Series X is something of an industrial designer's magic trick. The concave ventilation screen gives an appealing look of both depth and premium quality when viewed at eye level or higher, and the green coloring on the inside half of those ventilation holes pops with a much-needed accent that makes the inside of the Series X appear to be illuminated even when it's turned off. On the front you have the power button, a single USB 3.2 port, a 4K Blu-ray drive with an eject button, and a controller pairing button. On the back, there's an HDMI 2.1 out, 2 more USB ports, the power plug, an Ethernet port, and the internal storage expansion slot. RIP, HDMI in and optical ports. Kudos to Microsoft's engineers for making the Series X almost inaudibly quiet. Even playing games in 4K at 60 frames per second, this stoic ebony obelisk barely whispers. The measure was just 40 decibels while playing Dirt 5, which sounds great next to 60 decibels for the same game on the One X. In the thermal department, the Series X also does very well. If you've owned an Xbox One, navigating your new Series X will be instantly familiar. The new iteration of the stalwart Xbox wireless controller doesn't quite feel like a next-gen controller. However, subtle changes to the D-pad and the new share button have improved it in minor ways that will resonate with every game you play, regardless of which generation of Xbox you're using it with, and an excellent choice for gaming on PCs, phones, and tablets. When it comes to power, this generation is no repeat of the previous one, which saw the Xbox One outgunned by Sony's PlayStation 4 on both power and price. This time, the Xbox Series X main selling point is that it has 12.1 teraflops of computational power on tap for games to play with. It's not a perfect measurement of speed, but on paper that's twice as powerful as the Xbox One X 4K 60 FPS experiences are positioned to be the new normal, and that boost in frame rate is a very noticeable upgrade from the 4K 30 FPS treatments common on the Xbox One X and the upscaled or checkerboarded 4K 30 we usually see on the PS4 Pro. We don't know for sure yet how the Series X will perform in the same third-party games head-to-head. If you favor frame rate over all else, some games on the Series X offer a 120 FPS option, though doubling the frame rate usually comes at the cost of some amount of resolution. It's also bound to cause some setup hassle, because not every 4K TV or HDMI cable supports 120 Hz. Thank you for including a 120 Hz cable in the box. That said, the difference between 60 Hz and 120 Hz was nice, but didn't jump out the way the upgrade from 30 to 60 does, and I don't think it is worth sacrificing the resolution. But your mileage may vary, and if you're serious about competitive gaming, you might be glad the option is there. The Series X feature is its 1TB NVMe SSD drive. Games played from there, new and old alike, show tremendously impressive loading time improvements. The SSD affects absolutely everything on this console in an utterly life-changing way. When you consider all the hours we've wasted staring at loading screens this past generation, this is arguably a bigger leap forward for console gaming than 4K. What stings a little bit, though, is thinking about how quickly that 802 GB of usable space will fill up when we start installing huge games like COD, Halo, Cyberpunk 2077, etc. Especially when you're looking at $220 for a 1 TB expansion card that matches the SSD's performance. Those numbers are very scary. But again, Xbox One generation games will run in their unenhanced form from a regular USB 3.0 drive, so you can reserve all of the internal space for games that need it. The new controllers are only slightly revised and older Xbox One controllers, as well as the pricey Elites are still rock solid. Speaking of new games, a console is only as good as the games you can play on it, and the Series X is lacking in that department in its early days, which is also not unusual in a console's early launch window. 30 Series X launch games might seem like a lot, but almost nothing requires a Series X to play. We can only assume that the Xbox Series X will wow us with new and spectacular next-gen games eventually, because there isn't much to judge it on right now. But in the meantime, no matter what current games you throw at it, your loading times will be drastically cut, your frame rates will be smoother, and your resolutions will be higher. This bold and minimalistically designed box is quiet, compact for both the power it packs, and loaded with convenience features like instantly resuming and cycling between any of your recently played games. That's all for today. This video is only the part 2 of our series. Stay tuned for the next video. If you like the video, make sure to drop a like and subscribe to Tech and Unity.